Believe it or not, Lexi, they
Press conference. We'll go around and let everyone ask three questions, and then we'll circle back around to make sure everyone's questions gets answered. Scott Wyckoff, you were on first. Let's start with you.
Cindy, can you remember a week when you had two players that not only were the players of the week in the conference, but were probably hands down the choices that no one could have not voted for?
are you referring to the Patriot League?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was a little bit disappointing. So yeah. I don't know, we're trying to figure some of that out. Um, our players are really, training hard, putting it on the line and probably just deserve a little bit more from the Patriot League Conference. However, we're not the ones voting and certainly ones that just yeah, yeah. So
When when you have a week like this with a game late in the week and then the looking ahead, not wanting to look ahead, how difficult is that for the players when they're training late into the week for a game, but also knowing that they've got something right around the corner that they're also going to be looking at?
yeah, that's a great question, Scott, and certainly one that we, try to manage very well. Um, we talked about this last week. When we traveled up to Lehigh, were the three things that we're always most concerned of as a coach is, the three things: midweek, on the road, conference game, and we're facing that again on Thursday. Um, and then certainly you can sprinkle in things like you know, for example, we're going to American. Um, this could be the end of the, I end up playing into parables and stuff at the end of their season. So there's a lot, to compete for and fight for. And we just try to, again, we just bring it back to, just being coachable, heading out there with a true focus and a meaning to, Navy. We've been keeping this good constant tide, being on the road, coming back at home for the senior day, which is a wonderful, wonderful day for our seniors and for the team. And to host our last regular season home game, had all the elements of what we'd wish for in a senior day. And so, it can be a little distracting. I felt the team played solid throughout that whole game. So yeah, now we're in this next phase where we need to, reset, refocus, regenerate ourselves. For a local team, local teams always have that extra, whether it's Maryland playing Hopkins, for us, it's us and Loyola, but Americans right down the road. So you have these little mini rivalries there. So, we want to be well prepared and know what we face in front of us.
And how has this team responded to kind of, I guess, the dog days of the season where, you're really battling? It's an important time of year, but it's also a time when things are not only tough on the field in practice, but also in the classroom on the yard.
Yeah. I mean, this is our last week of like full classes. And with having 8 seniors on our team, there's an element of, figuring like little logistic things that are coming right in front of them. I think we just keep it all in perspective, compartmentalize the idea that you're in classes, some military obligations, and then getting out on the field and really giving us that opportunity to train hard and well and efficient so that we can be as successful as possible when we step out on the field on Thursday at the great time for those. Just like a what it used to be when I was in Chicago, Wrigley Field did not have lights, so it was always an afternoon game. So
Thanks.
Catherine, you're muted. All right, you're
I
unmuted.
think both
Sorry, it's on my phone, so it was a struggle to unmute myself because my phone's a little old. But appreciate you talking with me. I really want to talk a lot about Alyssa because I remember when, we were talking during her last season. She was doing the stats a lot for Severna Park because of her ACL tear. So I got to sit with her a lot, and she just talked nonstop about how much she adored you and how much she clicked with you. She just felt like a lot of kids will say that, their Navy's the best place because they want to serve or they just felt like home. But she had so much to say about just the coach relationship. Like, how have you seen that develop through her first season?
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that, Alyssa.
Mm-hmm.
We're just very fortunate, you know, with her level of performance, at the Naval Academy, being ranked, 21 in the country. Uh, she as well as Emily Mess and our all of our team members collectively to stay in the top 25. And certainly Alyssa has a big part of that. I mean, your comments about her and our connection. I mean, Alyssa's family, mother is Irish, her father's from Korea. He served in the army. To have, a real standout attacker from a local school like Severna Park and, win a couple state titles. Um, I'm glad you got a chance to share that story and to talk to her. It wasn't probably a happy time for her when she tore ACL. And
Yeah,
then to
she
come
handles it
back
well.
now, yeah, and perform at a very high level. And yeah, and, she's a real smart kid and a really good student. So, I mean, schools like Northwestern and Stanford were looking at her. So, she has the complete package. It's about serving her country, doing well in school, and really putting it out on the field when we play.
Yeah, something about her that I was a little concerned when she got to the college level is, especially if was just her team style, but that she was such a physical, direct player that sometimes refs didn't like it. They would put her in the box a lot. She would have to kind of curb her own abilities to kind of fit, you know, what she was allowed to get away with, essentially. How have you seen her kind of, tweak that a little bit, develop so she can still do these incredible moves, these physical moves, but essentially be able to do it to the refs' liking?
Yeah, yeah. I, yeah, her style is exceptional and her
Mm-hmm.
abilities are off the chart. Um, you know, I I think many officials haven't seen what she's been able to do and feel like, just a fake in a shot is actually a dangerous shot when it's just a fake because she's very crafty with her skills
Mm-hmm.
and she's mastered those. And so you want she's kind of an outlier. And when many officials don't see that, they don't maybe quite, they think it might be aggressive. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in most sports, that wouldn't be considered that. Uh, um, I don't want to, pretend to like genderize it, but her style of play is unique to Alyssa, one in which it really enhances and enlightens the game because of her abilities. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I understand perhaps where maybe the officials came from and overcoming that. Um, but she's one to want to learn, get better, and improve every day, and really help the team do well.
Yeah, I know it's rare for freshmen to kind of stand above their station as a plebe, but Alyssa has such a big personality. She's always been someone who's so vocal among her teammates. How have you seen her maybe do that despite the fact that she's a first year?
She's a little quiet.
Really? Okay, that's rare then.
uh, she's really kind of soft spoken,
Mhm.
and um, and super hyper focused. And sometimes that's perceived as maybe being, a little shy. And it just, she's trying to read, she's really trying to read every situation
Mhm.
that she faces. And, um, she's had some tough defenses that have, maybe taken her out of her game. We're working on different sets for her.
Mhm.
But to collectively, I think what embraces is a whole team idea with our captains Lola Leon and Emily Messinese. They blend well together, and Ava Yovino's coming on strong for us. So, the stronger our team has gotten offensively, she blends in more and then
Mhm.
stands out when those opportunities present themselves to her.
Yeah. Was there a game or a moment in a game this season where you felt like you could really see her take some of those lessons that she got from those times where she felt a little licked and, was able to kind of use them and advance and develop on the field.
Yeah, I can't think of one particular game. I think of her performances. I think she had a really
Mm-hmm.
off the chart assist against Lafayette to a cutting Tori DiCarlo. Those are things sometimes you don't quite see. It's almost no, she's too young to be compared to a Paige from UConn. But when they break down the skills that Paige had, other than good mid-range shooting shots
Mm-hmm.
and three pointers, you could see her ability for no look passes, finding the open slips, and those are the kind of things that are certainly our team's ability. Will grow with that because
Mm-hmm.
she sees the field.
Yeah. Hey, when Paige was a freshman, people said like, "Oh, she might be too young to compare to Leah Boston, but give her a couple years or whatever." So, but
I'm glad you're
anyway,
following women's basketball. Leah Boston's exceptional
yeah,
too. So
definitely awesome. Thank you. Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
All right, moving on, Bill Wagner.
Well, Cindy, Catherine was asking about Alyssa, and she has gotten some dangerous shot penalties. I was at a game earlier this year where she was put out quite early, and I don't know if it was strictly dangerous shots or some other green card that she got, but she has gotten a few, hadn't she?
Yeah, early on, one we felt and we shared with our conference a shot that we felt wasn't, dangerous. Again, it's, the officials tried to see it the way they do. And, video review is there for the officials to reevaluate any kind of call. So I really can't comment on that. But yeah, I mean, sometimes we felt defenses are kind of the shooting. Do we in our sport we have a very unique type of rules with shooting space and 3 second calls that sometimes are difficult to determine on both sides of the ball. So
So Alyssa just got her seventh Patriot League Rookie of the Week honor. That ties Kelly Larkin and Loyola's Livy Rosenzweig for the single season record in the Patriot League. So obviously, if she gets one more, she'll set that record. Can you talk about that? And also, can you talk about is she pretty much a shoe-in for Patriot League Rookie of the Year at this point?
yeah, well, I think Scott brought up some voting, but I think at this point and team wise, we always feel like the accolades and standout play is really a true combination and cultivation of the team practicing hard and the coaches having a great game plan. And I think Alyssa wants more than anything to be successful in the field for the team and to hopefully get a couple more victories. If the idea of her getting additional honors or tying or breaking a record. And she's tied it now, maybe break it. I don't think that's ever a thought with her. She, kind of like a Stephen Curry, takes a lot of shots. She takes pride in wanting to be a good, pure finisher and also for attempting to set up her teammates. So if that comes together well for us, that would be a great honor for her. But I know she's all about the team and Navy women's lacrosse being successful.
Yeah, she probably hasn't met a shot she doesn't like, right?
Well, she's created a lot of shots. Again, when we talked about Caitlin Clark and, shots from the logo, you never thought you would ever keep repeating that literally there were 3 point shots. And how do you defend that? How do you go out and defend the logo? And so, she has a good range and many, many players. I mean, this past weekend watching Penn and Anna Brandt, and it's just some ridiculously amazing players that have good range outside shooting. Alyssa's one of them. Yeah, so maybe you better step out of the way.
So we didn't get to talk to you last week, but I've obviously kind of what was the mindset coming off the loss to Army? I know that how much effort is put into that one game, and I know how disappointing it is to not be successful. But can you talk about the mindset mentality coming out of that and the fact that subsequent, your team has scored, close to what, 40 goals here in 2 games.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, it was certainly a heartbreaking loss, and knowing how much, our athletics department and certainly, you know, kind of the captain of our ship for the NAAA, Chet Gladchuk, and the meaning of the Navy Army, just competition. We were very, very disappointed, and the locker room was very, very somber. And always look for answers. Maybe like the Orioles this past weekend over Cincinnati, just looking for answers to get back on track. And we were very disappointed. Army just flat out came out and took it to us early, and we struggled to get back in it. And so coming off of that, we just, recommitted, just a reset button, and the lessons we learned coming off of that loss and moving forward is valuable for the team.
Thanks, Cindy.
Scott Strassmeyer?
And you look at American and the record, it's not that good, to be honest. But can you flip on that film against Army and go to the team and get their attention right away? Because they really outplayed Army for most of the game and really had a great chance of winning.
Yeah. There was no question they were playing inspiring defense. Their goalie was coming up with big time saves. They were just generating very poised and patient with intention offense. Yeah, it was one of those games that we've always seen where you're on, again, you're on the road. It is a field hockey turf, a little bit different surface, but we are very concerned. And definitely, Scott, we have gotten the team's attention. They beat Lehigh 17-10. They beat Charlotte by 1, and I believe Charlotte has had a relatively significant win. I can't remember who it was. What was it?
Beat
Elon?
USF. Charlotte beat USF.
And USF is really rocking. So that was a big time win for them. So, whether it's, Mercer going to Clemson and beating them, we've seen upsets in particular this year. Obviously, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the men's side, but certainly on the women's side. And, for American, one of our former, players is on their staff, and they can circle this game because this is really their last game. And so we need to, again, if we talk about all those kind of things, we want to go out there free flowing, but we got to put it out on the line with this team. A very bouncy kind of, just like University of Maryland field hockey turf. Maybe that was the reason that Army. I can't speak on behalf of them, but you are absolutely right, Scott. The idea that American can really push, the number 2 team in our conference all the way through, and Army, eked out the victory is something to be concerned for anybody that would be playing, American right now, because that was recently.
And secondly, are you concerned at all about the turnovers? I think Saturday we had 18 turnovers.
Oh,
And
100%.
is that
And
I'm
we know,
specifically the unforced variety? You're going
yeah,
to turn the ball over some. Defense makes some, but unforced turnovers, I'm sure, drives you crazy. And I guess, what is a number that you guys try to stay under? Like, what's a
10,
goal?
10. Yeah, there's going to be those, if you're a team that's trying to force some tempo, there could be that errant pass that goes out, but some of these are really, mental cues that we need to clean up. Others that we might say, hey, that was a catchable ball. It comes out as a turnover. And like you said, there's a huge difference between those unforced, like maybe just being, which we saw in Army, like tight, tense, and tentative, and kind of, then you want your team just to, I take a quote from Kelly when Michigan was up 3-0 last week at their big Michigan Northwestern game. You just have to go out there, relax, and get back in the flow of things. And that's exactly what they did. And that's something that we have to, that number is concerning. Valuing possession and the idea of with clear intentions on offense. to really in many of those situations, those turnovers should not have, they are a concern because in many situations, those turnovers, when we were playing Army, they just turned into goals. And we were able to ride some back, create our own destiny on Saturday against Lafayette. But we just want to clean it up a little bit and understand that. And I think we were trying to tighten, be like a little forcey, and we can spread it out. We have a lot of offensive power, and display more patience and intention on offense.
I bet your record's pretty good when you're under 10.
There,
Chris may have that probably pretty good.
my analytics. I have an analytics person in Chicago, and he keeps reminding me of the turnovers. So yeah. You're absolutely right, Scott.
I'm good, Chris.
All right, circling back around, Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, I know you've coached a lot of great draw control specialists in your career and also played against a bunch that have probably frustrated the heck out of you. What makes Alyssa just so darn good that she can dominate a game like she does against the top opponents that do what she does in the nation?
Yeah. Yeah, she has quick hands and really a heart of gold. Once she found like this is my niche, this is what I can do to help the team, then she really bought into that idea. So she spends hours and hours. I mean, that was something that was really like like good about the Army game. She came up with a lot of draws. We just, then we, when you're coming up with a lot of draws, then you want to, really finish that with good offensive plays, knowing that you might struggle or not come up with a lot of draws. You just want to be determined with good defense, cause turnovers, lock it in so you can get the ball back. She's been able to master that, gives us a lot more possession opportunities. And you were talking about we've seemingly have had many solid players that do take the draw, and we're very blessed by that and fortunate that they serve that role really well. And Alyssa, she's complete fogo, so she'll win the draw for the team and then get off for another attacker, or if it doesn't go our way, a defender to come onto the field. So yeah, bringing her name up, she's definitely one that puts the work in, the time in, and takes pride in what she's doing for the team.
And finally, does that help with the selflessness that other players see that and can say, wow, the coach is asking me to do a specific role. If she can do it, maybe I can succeed doing it?
Yeah, that's great, Scott. I think you should come down and talk to the team. Yeah, playing your role. I mean, everything counts in this game, and an extra ground ball, diving for a ball going out of bounds, valuing, possessions, taking high quality shots, all those things fall into that same realm of, kind of again, a Navy mentality. If not me, then who? So let's get after it. Let's have fun with it. And if I can be that one that can get the scrap, if Alyssa doesn't get it clean or get the big defensive stop or a save, or if I'm in position to score that goal, then that's selflessness. And sometimes you think selflessness is just being a good teammate and passing the ball. Sometimes selflessness is when you have a chance to go hard, that you become the one that can finish, that will open up the opportunities for other players. So there's different ways of looking at that, but that's one way I believe Alyssa serves, by really locking in, lock down, draw person every day.
Thanks.
Thank
All
you.
right, we're running a little low on time, so I'll have to make this quick. Catherine. All right, Bill Wagner.
Well, just one last one for me. You mentioned about Alyssa as a draw and get off the field. Do you that's there was a time in men's lacrosse where your faceoff specialist was also a really, really good midfielder. I think back to guys like Ryan Wade from North Carolina, who were first team All-Americans midfielder of the year, and he took faceoffs. But the game changed. Now that faceoff guy that's it. It's his specialist. They don't do anything else. They don't run a midfield line. Do you think that's where it's going with women's lacrosse? That the faceoff specialist is going to be a one-trick pony?
I think it varies. Right now, if you off the top of my head, you know, UNC has a FOGO draw. I think BC, Northwestern, although Northwestern's player can stay in. Loyola has a full time. I mean, Chase Boyle is the real deal. Takes the draw, plays defense, matches up on top players, and scores on offense. So I think you get a little of both. Teams go back and forth. We've gotten Alyssa to, carry the ball more and be more of an offensive threat, and also to ride more if she's not going to get, the ball and be, the extra ride in the midfield. Our rules are a little bit different than men because if we ride really hard in the midfield, they card us. So what the answer is, I think it's a mixture. I don't think it's totally one person that, or one program saying, look, it's a FOGO, they're taking the draw, they're getting off. This is what we need to have. But many are using it as a weapon. And some of the best, a lot of the teams we play have FOGO players. So it's a mixture, but I do believe it can, ebb and flow. We always love to see, especially in men's lacrosse, a face-off, and the young man gets the ball, runs down, and scores. I mean, that there doesn't get anything better than that. So, we kind of mix it up, but for right now, we have a FOGO person.
And is that because of they're using a special stick? I remember, I don't know if it was last season or 2 seasons ago, you had a draw player that you would go and switch the stick after she took the draw. You'd run out with a different stick for her.
Yeah. Yeah, there are draw sticks in women's lacrosse, and in many situations, like Alyssa can carry with it. She could probably score with it, but it's difficult to handle. And if you start carrying it, you might be vulnerable for a stick check from behind or a bump where you dislodge the ball. So I do believe that, um, you know, those players that stay in the game. Princeton had a draw taker, Sophie Whitehead, who's locally from Stone Ridge, and she took the draw, and the defender would give her the exchange stick, and then she would join into the offense. So it's a little bit of both. And yeah, it is difficult. That's reason why a lot of times it's just difficult to get to keep playing with a draw stick because it is a specialized stick
Thanks,
on the
Cindy.
women's side.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We will see you at the game this weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Good luck, coach.